So here's a question Apple doesn't want you to really think about for too long. The M4 iPad Air starts at $599. It has the same chip Apple was selling in the iPad Pro for $900 more last year. 8GB of RAM, all-day battery, Apple Pencil Pro support. On paper, this thing is more powerful than the laptop people are using to watch this video on right now. So I did the thing. I put my MacBook in a drawer, picked up the iPad Air, and used it as my only computer for 1 month. And the answer to whether or not this can actually replace a laptop, well, that's more complicated than anyone on YouTube wants to admit. But by the end of this video, I'm going to give you a really specific answer on who this works for and who it absolutely does not work for. So let's get into it. Quick context, I've been making some version of this video every couple of years since the 2018 iPad Pro. And every time the answer shifts just a little bit. The hardware keeps getting more ridiculous. The software keeps almost catching up. And the price keeps being the only thing nobody actually talks about honestly. The M4 iPad Air is interesting for one specific reason. It is now the cheapest computer Apple sells with more than enough power for almost anyone who isn't doing serious pro video work. If you add the Magic Keyboard and a pencil, you're looking at around $1,200 total, which is roughly the same price as the base M4 MacBook Air. So we're finally asking a fair question. The same chip, similar price, very different operating systems. Which one's actually the better computer for you in 2026? Let's start with the part that genuinely surprised me. Even after years of doing this, there are things the iPad Air does better than any laptop on the market right now. Not as well, but better. First one has to be reading and research. I do a lot of reading for these videos. Spec sheets, technical PDFs, the occasional 40-page product brief that nobody asked for. On a laptop, that's a tab in your browser, 8 other tabs open, a Slack notification killing your focus every 6 seconds. On the iPad, you pick it up, you hold it like a magazine, you mark it with the Apple Pencil. The whole experience just lands differently. I'm not making that up. I switched my actual research workflow over to this iPad, and now I'm getting through more material in less time. But here's where the iPad Air broke a habit that I didn't know I had. Quick switch. The combination of Stage Manager finally being usable in iPadOS 18 plus the raw speed of the M4 means I can be in Final Cut on the iPad, swipe over to Notion for a script, jump back to Safari to verify a spec, and then back to Final Cut. I can do all of this faster than I can do on my MacBook Pro. The iPad also doesn't have to wake up. It's just on. That sounds like a small thing, but after 1 month, it's really not. And then there's of course the Apple Pencil Pro, which I'll be honest, I underused it for years. But on this version of iPadOS with hover, squeeze, the haptic feedback, it's a real input device now. For visual brainstorming, marking up thumbnails, signing contracts, taking notes that gets autocorrected to type text, yeah, it's pretty good. It's the thing that my MacBook genuinely cannot do. So if the iPad can do all of this, why is anyone still using a laptop? Yeah, about that. Here's where I have to be honest because most of YouTube isn't going to be. The first wall that I hit was the files management. iPadOS has the Files app. The Files app is fine, but the moment you're working across cloud services and external SSD and trying to pull assets from a NAS, you start to feel the limits really quickly. I had a moment where I was dragging footage from a NAS into Final Cut Pro for the iPad and the whole thing just sort of doesn't really work. On a Mac, that's a Finder window. On the iPad, that's a whole new project. The second wall is external displays. Apple added proper external support a couple of years ago. It mostly works. Mostly is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence. Some apps still mirror like it's 2020. If your laptop replacement plan involves docking a 4K monitor and pretending like you're on a desktop, yeah, it's gotten better, but it's not a Mac. Third wall, and this is the one that nobody warns you about. Pro applications. Final Cut Pro for iPad is pretty impressive. Logic for iPad is real. DaVinci Resolve is now on the iPad, but every single one of these apps have feature gaps compared to the desktop version. Not deal breakers individually, but if you're a working professional, you will find one within the first week. I found 3 before I finished my first project. That's the honest gap list. But before I tell you who this actually works for, and there's a really specific group of people it works amazingly for, I want to answer 4 questions I keep seeing in the comments. The one most reviewers skip past because they don't have clear-cut answers. Right after this though. Okay, so real quick, this section is sponsored by Paperlike. Here's the thing about using an iPad as a notes device. The screen is glass, and glass is slippery. That's totally fine for tapping and scrolling, but the second you try to write or sketch on it for any real length of time, the pencil doesn't grip, it slides. Strokes drift, your handwriting tightens up, it just feels off. Paperlike 3 fixes that. The surface is covered in this microtexture called nanodots, basically microscopic friction that gives your pencil something to push back against. So the writing actually feels like pen on paper. And it's thin, under 0.095 millimeters thin. That matters because that's Apple's threshold for keeping the pencil fully responsive. So you're not trading latency for feel. which is usually the catch with these things. The bigger story this generation is the install. They're calling it the Butterfly application system, patent pending. It seals your screen until the exact moment you apply. There's a built-in dust catcher and an interactive guide that plays right on the iPad, walking you through every step. The helper tools lock alignment so the protector slides on straight. First try, there is no bubbles, which is genuinely wild if you've ever installed one of these things before. The other thing I like, it doesn't grind down your pencil tip the way grittier paper feel protectors do. I've had this on my M4 iPad Air for about 3 weeks now, and the display still reads sharp underneath. $50 for a pack of 2 on Amazon or paperlike.com. There is a link below for you guys, and thanks to Paperlike for sponsoring this video. Now back to the review. Okay, 4 questions. Number 1, can you actually code on this thing? Yes, kind of. Through web-based dev environments like GitHub Codespaces, you can SSH into a remote machine or use apps like Working Copy, Textastic, A Shell, and for web dev, light scripting, learning, fine, it works. But you are not running Xcode. You are not compiling anything serious locally. Every working developer I know who's tried this lasted about 2 weeks before quietly going back to a MacBook. So if you're learning, or if you're a hobbyist like me, or if your whole workflow lives on a remote server, you're fine. If your job is developer, don't make this your only machine. Number 2 is, what about the lap problem? It's real. The Magic Keyboard hinge is good, but the iPad is the screen and the computer, which means the whole thing is top heavy. On a flat desk, it's perfect. On your actual lap on a couch, on a plane, or on the edge of a bed, it kind of wobbles. And the angle range is more limited than a MacBook. If you do most of your work in coffee shops or on flights, this is a daily annoyance, not an occasional one. The MacBook still wins this fight in 2026. And I don't think Apple will ever fully fix it on the iPad side, because, you know, physics. Number 3, is the battery actually good as Apple says? I would say so. I'm getting roughly around 9 hours of mixed real-world use. Safari, writing scripts, Lightroom, some YouTube, but push it hard though on Final Cut exports, and you're looking closer to around 5 or 6 hours, which, importantly, is still better than my MacBook Air doing the exact same task. The M4 in this thing is genuinely efficient. The one caveat though is if you're running it through the Magic Keyboard and charging accessories from the USB-C port, the battery drains noticeably faster than spec, which is worth knowing. Number 4, will iPad OS ever just become Mac OS? Honestly, I stopped expecting it to, and I think that's the right way to look at this device. Apple has clearly decided that iPad OS and Mac OS are 2 different products for 2 different jobs. They will keep getting closer, but they'll never merge. If you've spent the last 5 years waiting for the iPad to finally become a real computer, I think the iPad has already become what Apple wants it to be a while ago. The real question is whether that version of a computer is the right one for you. Which leads me to, who is this actually for? Here's where I land after 1 month of daily use. Can the iPad replace a laptop is actually the wrong question. It's been the wrong question for years. The right question is, can the iPad replace your laptop? And the answer really comes down to one thing. What do you actually do with your computer? If you're a student, a writer, a casual creative, somebody who basically lives in a browser and 2 or 3 apps, the M4 iPad Air with the Magic Keyboard and a pencil is genuinely a better deal than a MacBook Air. Same chip, touchscreen, pencil support, better for reading, lighter in a backpack, detaches into a tablet on the couch. For that person, this isn't a compromise. It's an upgrade. If you are a photographer working in Lightroom, a short-form video creator editing for TikTok or Instagram, a note-heavy professional, this works. Final Cut for the iPad and Lightroom on the iPad are seriously capable in 2026. You will hit walls though, but most people won't hit them often enough to care. But here's exactly where it stops working. If you're a developer, a professional video editor working with multicam and a lot of plugins, anyone who lives in a deep file system, anyone with 20 Excel tabs open across 2 monitors, the iPad will fight you. Not constantly, just often enough that your day quietly gets slower instead of faster. And that's the whole point of upgrading your computer, is to get your day quote unquote back. Not to lose minutes to workarounds you didn't have to do on a Mac. So my real answer is this. The M4 iPad Air is the best version of this question Apple has ever shipped. The chip is no longer the limit. The limit is iPad OS. And iPad OS is now a really good operating system for a really specific kind of workflow. And it's never going to be Mac OS, and that's okay. One last thing before I wrap this up, because I keep seeing this take and I want to push back on it. People online keep saying just buy the iPad Pro instead. And I get it. Tandem OLED, ProMotion, slightly thinner, better speakers, a beautiful piece of hardware. But here's the thing. After 1 month of going back and forth, I don't think 90% of people should pay the upcharge. The Air's screen is great. The chip is in the same family. The Pencil Pro support is the same. The Magic Keyboard is the same. You're paying a few $100 extra for a screen upgrade. That's real, but it only matters if you're doing color critical work. For everybody else, the Air is the smart buy. Save the money. Spend it on the Pencil Pro and the keyboard instead. That's the setup that actually changes how you use this device. So the bottom line is, if you already have a laptop and you're thinking about adding an iPad Air to your setup, yes, confidently. It's a great companion device at $599. It's almost a no-brainer for the chipset alone. If you're trying to choose between a MacBook Air and an iPad Air as your only computer, be honest with yourself about what you actually do all day. If your workflow doesn't fit, the iPad will quietly drive you up a wall, and you'll be back in the Apple Store in 3 months trading it in. For me personally, the MacBook is still on my desk. The iPad Air is in my bag. They each do what they're best at, and I've stopped pretending one of them is going to kill the other. That's the most honest answer anyone can give you in 2026. If you guys found this video helpful, hit that like button. It actually helps the channel more than you guys think. And of course, if you made it to the end of this video, drop a dolphin emoji down in the comments below. I would love to know who my true supporters are. And drop a comment on what you're using as your main computer right now, because I'm genuinely curious how this lands for people in different jobs. I'll catch you guys all in the next one, and don't forget to flex with your tech.